Simon Says subscribe and click on the bell icon to receive notifications.
Welcome back to QuickBooks Desktop 2023. This is Cindy. We're starting now in section 4, and we're going to talk in this section about working with customers and jobs for those customers. A customer is a person or a business that buys from you. Sometimes you might have a customer and you do different jobs for those customers, or different projects as you might call them. You have the ability to set those up in QuickBooks so that you can track them individually, but you can still track the customer as a whole. Not all of you will use the job feature, but it's really nice that QuickBooks has this option available. There are 2 parts to customers and jobs. Make sure you watch both parts. Let's head on over to QuickBooks and get started setting up some customers. There are several different ways to access what we call the Customer Center, which is your list of customers and their transactions. If you're on the home screen, there's an easy way to do it by clicking right here. You can also look for customers on your icon bar or customers on the menu at the top. This way you would choose the very first option, the Customer Center. Here's a list of all of your customers, and you can see that they're set up last name, comma, first name. That's probably the best way to do it if you're wanting to be able to find your customers easily. Sometimes your customers will be actual businesses and they'll just fall in line in this list alphabetically. What you see on the left is your list of customers. Here you're going to see information about the customer you're clicked on, and then down at the bottom you have some options for notes and transactions and that sort of thing. Let's head back to the left and take a look at the list. When you're looking at this list, you're going to see your main customer, and then if you have jobs set up, they'll look indented underneath that customer. You have the ability in this middle column, the balance total, to see the balance for the entire customer and also the balance for each job you're working on for that customer. This last column that says attach, if you just double click next to a customer or a job that you want to attach a file to, it will bring up this window that says attachments, and this will allow you to attach a file that you have in your computer already. You can search right here. It could be that you have something in Outlook related to this job that you want to attach. Any way at all that you can find these documents, you can just drag and drop them into this area if you want, and then click Done, and you'll see a little paper clip next to that customer or job. That keeps you inside of QuickBooks, and you don't have to go out to Word or go to your email and actually look for those documents. You'll see that currently I'm looking at all of the active customers. Notice there's a drop down here where I can choose all customers, or maybe I just want to see ones with an open balance, overdue balances, things like that. Typically you want to keep it on active customers. Something that happens often that people ask me about is you'll notice there's an arrow here that says show full list only. If you click on that, you'll notice it hid the right part of the screen, and normally what happens is people have accidentally clicked that and they don't know how to get back to where they were. Just go all the way to the right and click the arrow to show the list and details, and then you'll be back to where you were. This section here has to do with either job information, or if you're clicked on a customer, it'll say customer information. This is information you have filled in related to this customer. If you've given them account numbers, you'll see that. You'll see their bill to information. Here you'll see a map and or directions to this address. This will just actually take you to Google Maps. On the right, you'll see their phone number and an email if you have set that up. Notice this email is a hyperlink. This way you can just click and email this customer directly from here. Over on the right-hand side, you're going to see a section that says Note, and there's a little pin next to the word Note. This area relates to this tab that says Notes down here at the bottom. When you set up your notes, if there's a particular one that you want to pin to this section so that you can see it at a glance, then you can do that. There's also some reports here for this customer, and if you want to run one of these, you just click on whichever report you want to run. We're going to talk about reports in a later section, but I just want you to see what a report looks like here. This is a customer quick report. If you want to close it, just go to the top and click not the very top X, because that will close QuickBooks, but the one right below it. You have a bottom part of this screen, and I wanted to show you that you can move this up or down, because sometimes when you come in, you might be covering up one of these reports that you want to run, or maybe you want to see something that you don't automatically see. Just change this so that you can see the parts that you need to see. Let's look at the bottom. We're going to start with the tab that says Transactions. These are all the transactions for the customer or the job that you happen to have selected on the left. The easiest way to go to one of these transactions is just double click on it. I'll take this payment at the top and double click, and now you'll see that I'm in that customer's payment. If you make a change here and just save and close at the bottom, those changes will be reflected on this screen. You've got the ability to filter this list a little bit because maybe you just want to see invoices, for example. You can come here and click the down arrow next to Show and choose the type of transactions you'd like to see. You can also come over here and filter the date, and that way you can see exactly what it is you'd like to see in this list. I'll go back and choose All Transactions. At the bottom of the Transactions tab, you're going to see an option for managing transactions. These are transactions for this customer or job that you may want to go ahead and create right now. You can see that if you want to create an estimate or maybe receive a payment, you could do that. Chances are you're not going to be on this screen when you want to create these transactions. You can also run some reports down here. These will be reports on these different transactions. The next tab over says Contacts. These would be contacts that you deal with at this company or with this individual customer you're working with. Contacts can be primary or secondary. If you wanted to edit one of these, you just double click on that contact, and now you'll see you're in the contacts window here, and you can make any changes that you like. Notice that I could have set up a job title for Christy. I could have put in her last name here, which is what should have happened. I can also put in her work phone, work fax, mobile, and these fields here can represent whatever you like them to represent from this list. I'll go ahead and save and close this one, and that was a primary contact. If you're wanting to set up a contact from scratch, just come down to the bottom and click the down arrow and choose Add New. This way you could add all of the information you want about the new contact, and here's where you specify the contact type. They can be the primary, the additional, or the secondary. You can also delete a contact. Maybe I want to delete Steve. I'll just come down to Manage Contacts and choose Delete Selected Contact. It will ask me if I'm sure I want to delete Steve. I'll say yes, and you'll see now Christy is the only contact I have in this list. Moving over to the next tab, this is your To-Dos tab. To-Dos are things that you have to take care of related to this customer or job. It could be you need to set up a meeting, you've got to send a fax. If you have any listed, you would see them here. If you want to create a new to-do, come down to Manage To-Dos and choose Create New. The first thing you want to do with to-dos is specify the type. This would be a phone call, a fax, an email. It could be a meeting. Let's just say it's a call. And it already has your customer here. If you want to change that and maybe specify it's for a particular job, you could do that. You can also specify the priority. If it's low, that just means whenever you get around to it, whereas high priority means it's something you need to take care of right away. Notice you've got a due date here. You can set this for any date that you would like. If you have a particular time that it's due, you can set that here as well. And then you want to fill in the details. Let's just say set up lunch meeting. Down here is the status. It can be active, done, or inactive. Now that I've set that up, I'm going to click OK. And now you'll see there is our to-do on the list. Once you've completed this to-do, go ahead and double click under the column that says Done. And you'll notice it'll bring you back up to this Edit To-Do screen, and you can change this status to done. And then when you click OK, you'll see a check mark there. That's a quick way to keep a record of all of your to-dos and whether you've taken care of them or not. You can also run reports on these to-dos as well. The next tab over is the Notes tab. Here you're going to see a list of all of your to-dos, and you'll see them listed by date over on the right-hand side here. If you wanted to manage these to-dos, you can come down to the bottom and you can add a new one. You can edit one, or if you want to delete one, you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and edit the selected note. And what you'll notice here is that if I wanted to add a note, I would just come down to the next line. And I have a date timestamp over on the right I can click on to put the date and time in, and then I can just add my note. You can also create a new to-do from the right-hand side here, or print this list out if you need to do that. I'll go ahead and click OK, and now you can see that I have set up my lunch meeting. The last tab says Sent Emails. This is going to be a list of any emails that you send to this customer directly from QuickBooks. If you come up here and you click here, it will bring you up to a window where you can go ahead and send that email out through QuickBooks, and then you would see it listed here on this list. You can also click on Manage Email at the bottom, and you'll see you have an option to remove any selected email from this list. That gives you a quick overview of how the screen itself is set up. What I'd like to do now is take you over into part 2, and we're going to actually set up a new customer and a new job so that you can see how that whole process works from beginning to end. Let's head over now to Customers and Jobs, Part 2. Okay, welcome back to QuickBooks. This is Cindy again. We are going to go ahead and continue talking about customers and jobs. This is Part 2. In this part, what I want to do is actually go through and help you set up a customer the correct way, and then I'll show you how to add jobs for those customers. Let's head over to QuickBooks and we'll get started. We're back in the Customer Center, and to add a new customer, you want to come up here to this button that says New Customer and Job and click the down arrow and choose New Customer. You have to set up a customer first before you can add a job, which is the next one on the list. The first field asks you what is the customer name. Remember that the best way to set up this list is last name, comma, first name. You'll want to set it up that way because it will sort by the first character in that field. The next field that you see says opening balance. This is designed for you to put in the amount of money the customer owed you as of the start date of your company file. Remember, if you do this, it will have the correct starting number, but you won't be able to go back and see the actual invoices you've sent out that create that opening balance. I personally prefer to go and put those invoices in that are still open. Just don't put a number here and create those invoices, because then you've doubled your accounts receivable. Let's start down here with the Address Info tab. You can see there are a lot of different fields that you can fill in. You can leave these blank if you want to. A couple that you want to make sure you fill in is if they have a company, go ahead and put that company name here. Also, fill in the full name. The reason you want to do this is because you have the ability in QuickBooks to do mail merges with Microsoft Word. You can also run reports based on different fields that have information. If you don't have any information in these fields, you won't be able to run those reports or pull any data into the mail merge that you do with Microsoft Word. So make sure you fill as much of this in as you think you will be needing. You'll notice there are fields down at the bottom as well, and you can change these to represent anything you'd like. This is another important field right here, especially if you're going to send out correspondence. You'll notice that it brought in the company name and it brought in the full name. You'll need to click here and set this up the way you would like it to look if you were actually sending out correspondence. I have to probably do something like attention, and I have my customer name, and then I'd probably go down here and add their address that they'd like their invoices shipped to. Any correspondence at all. If you ship physical items and you want to have a different address to ship those items to, you could type that over here in this section. Also, if you needed to have on the shipping information the same address that you have over here, you could just copy that. Let's go back over to the left and look at the Payment Settings tab. There's a few fields here you might be interested in. If you give your customers account numbers, you have a place to fill that in. Also, if you have different payment terms for your customers, you can fill that in here. If your customer has a preferred delivery method, maybe they like things emailed to them or mailed, you can choose from the list. And also when they pay you, do they have a preferred method that they like to pay you with? Do they like to use their Visa card often? And this is really just for you to know. If you have a customer that asks you to keep their credit card number on file and then you charge it whenever you send them something, you have a place to keep all of that information in here. I personally would not keep it in here because you as a business are responsible if someone gets this information and uses it nefariously. The other thing you have the ability to do at the top right is put in a credit limit. If you give your customer, for example, a $2,000 credit limit, QuickBooks knows how much the customer owes you. If you're creating an invoice and it's going to exceed that amount, it's going to pop up and let you know that they've exceeded their credit limit, but it'll still let you create that invoice anyway. You can also set up different price levels. What this means is, let's say all of your commercial customers get a 10% discount, you can go and set that up. What you would do is you would click on Add New. You would create a name for your price level. You might call it commercial. They already have one on the list there. And then you can say that that price is a fixed percentage or per item. And then you can say their price should decrease by 10%, for example. And then when you click OK, it would end up on the list like you see here. QuickBooks would automatically assign that discount when you use this customer name. Also, if you want to let your customers pay you online, then you can actually check either one of these, and you have to go through and set this up with Intuit. The customer could go ahead and click on that invoice you sent, and then you would get paid right away. Let's look at the sales tax settings on the left. If you charge sales tax to your customers, here's where you can say this customer is taxable or not, and which sales tax item do they get charged. We're going to look at sales tax in a later section, but this would be the main tax that they get charged. And if they have a resale number, you can set that up here as well. The next tab over says Additional Info. Here you have the ability to set up different types of customers. In the exercise, you can see they have commercial and residential. And really, this is just more for reporting purposes. If you have sales reps in your organization, you can set them up. And then also on the right, you have these custom fields. They've set up a few just to show you the types of fields that you can create, but if there's another one you want to create, click on Define Fields. Just click in the next field down, and you can go ahead and put in any label that you want. You can specify if this should be used for customers, vendors, and/or employees, and then click OK. And if it gives you a little information like this, just go ahead and click OK past that. This one is just basically saying that you've activated some of the custom fields in this list. And there you'll see the new field I just created, date of birth. The last tab has to do with job info. This is a customer. You really wouldn't have any job info for a customer, but once you get a job set up, then you can put in some of this information. Also notice down here, if the customer happens to be inactive, meaning that you've used them in the past, but you want to take them off of the active customer list for now, you could check the box. I'm going to click OK, and now you'll see your new customer in the list. If QuickBooks puts it at the top of the list like this, just click on the word name at the top, and that will resort it, and it will be alphabetical in your list. Let's add a job for our new customer, Tom Allen. Make sure you're clicked on the customer, come back up to New Customer and Job, and Add Job. Let's call this one a kitchen remodel. You really don't have to fill in any other information unless it's different. You might have some job information you want to fill out. The type of information that's here would be a job type. Maybe you have a job status, it's pending, awarded, it's closed, a start and a projected end date, and then later you can fill in the actual end date when it's done. I'm going to click OK. And now look how Kitchen Remodel looks like it's indented under my customer. That's a job for that customer. Remember that all businesses don't use the job feature, and if you don't use that, that's certainly okay, but this is a great way to track your jobs individually from the actual customers. Now that we have our customers and jobs set up, let's go ahead and move over to the next video, and I'll show you how to set up groups of customers.
If you're not a subscriber, click down below to subscribe so you get notified about similar videos we upload. To see the full course that this video came from, click over there. And click over there to see more videos from Simon Says It.